I'm going to turn it over to Tom, my co-organizer, who's going to introduce himself and basically talk to you all tonight about the plugins that we all know about. And we want to hear from all of you as to what kind of plugins that you want and or plugins that you like to use. And I know Carrie uses plugins all the time. Certainly Tom does. Don, I guess you do as well, right? Lots of plugins. Right, and anybody else here as well. So Tom, introduce yourself and we'll finish up.
Thank you so much. Is this turned on? Yes. Okay, thanks so much. Again, my name is Tom Knoble, and the name of my business is called Pig Art Graphics. So I do website development with small businesses, and particularly I focus on content development with those businesses because even though my background and my interest and passion is with graphics and design and making the sites look gorgeous and beautiful, none of that matters unless Mr. Google can find you. So I really preach content organization on those websites with my clients, and then do a lot of one-on-one sessions with the clients to help them develop the content for the site. And then I, as well, customize WordPress themes. So one of the biggest things is obviously plugins, and what we have gathered here tonight is a collection of plugins that we have aggregated from other lists. One of the lists primarily being a presentation that we had gone to a Lancaster WordPress WordCamp out in Lancaster about a month ago, and there was a presentation there on plugins. As well, there is a hosting company called Kinsta, Kinsta. Kinsta puts together a very exhaustive list of plugins each year. They do a blog post of top plugins, and so there's many plugins in here from that Kinsta list, both this year and last year. As well, myself personally, as I add plugins to individual websites that I'm working on, and I am introduced to new plugins, I keep a running Word doc on my own computer of WordPress plugins that I love, and then keep adding them to this Word doc so that I can refer back to that. So this list, Lynne was so kind enough to organize all of that aggregation into our slide deck tonight, and they're simply organized plugins A to Z, and then various plugins within that list. And I'm familiar with many of the plugins, but other people may also be familiar with them. But again, this is coming from several sources. So away we go.
Let me just go through the rest of the slides here. I think we're almost done. I guess we're ready to go. So does your mouse work?
Yeah.
There you go.
No, wait a minute. You know what? It was great. I had the mouse upside down.
On? Okay. My plug kept unplugging from the wall, so I had to reset up, and I have a very old computer, so it's taking a little bit to revamp up. This is A to Z, and I am still updating information on the list, but this is also where you get to contribute. So I'm going to be live typing in your suggestions on this list so we have a more comprehensive list. And I will probably type in some more things from some other sources before Don gets a chance to publish it. I just didn't have a time to aggregate everything from all the lists that were sent me.
Right.
But I did a pretty good job.
So yes, thanks to Lynne. She did a really good job. So Lynne is actually live typing into her Google Doc, which is live, which is what I'm presenting live. So whatever changes she makes will appear on the screen because I'm actually connected to her Google Doc online.
Okay, so the way this is going to work is I'll be sort of commenting on the plugins, and then other plugins that people want to contribute A to Z, feel free.
Actually, it doesn't have to be A to Z.
It doesn't have to be A to Z.
Just right.
So we're just going to go through here. All right. So the first one, Admin Page Spider, is one that I use a lot, and it is a productivity tool. It provides a drop-down list of all of the pages and posts that you have within the admin area. So you don't have to retreat back to pages on the menu and to view all pages. It will give you a drop-down list right on your screen, so you can quickly go to another page while you're in the admin area. Advanced No CAPTCHA provides a tool to set up a CAPTCHA for security, and as you know, security is a huge issue now, and it's a huge cat and mouse game. So this tool provides an easy way to add a CAPTCHA to your form.
Tom, excuse me, if anybody has any questions while Tom is presenting, just raise your hand and you can ask and interrupt at any time. So if he's going too fast, or if you have a question, just interrupt and Tom will, or somebody will do their best to answer you.
Okay, so the next one, Advanced 2017, is, yes, sir.
Because it says advanced no caption and visible captcha, I'm assuming that's so that whoever is visiting your site doesn't have to fill out the captchas like you normally would?
That's correct. That's correct. Thanks.
What does that mean?
So there is the interface for it is that you respond to a bullet, to a box that, yes, I'm not a robot, similar, but you don't have to fill out a form. You're just responding live so that it knows that you're not a bot. And then the next one, Advanced 2017, it has some configurations to allow easier additions to the free WordPress theme called 2017. So it provides an ability to add some widget areas within that. The All 404 redirect to homepage is great. I've used it a lot. And what it does is if you have a missing page, and instead of the user seeing missing 404 error code on your screen, what it does is anytime it encounters a broken link or a broken page instead of broken message, it redirects you to the home page. So as a user, you won't necessarily feel like you've gotten to a broken page. And it's also, Google loves having an action that is associated with a 404 redirect. Flex Studio Tiny MCE widget, it provides an area to create an easier editing box within the widget area so that it will provide both the visual editor and the code editor in the widget area of the admin. And typically what you would have in terms of using a widget area, it's more of a code-based interface. And what the Black Studio widget plugin does is it provides a visual editor to that space, so it's easier to add information into your widget areas.
Does that work with Gutenberg, or is that independent?
So this Black Studio is really not as necessary now because Gutenberg already provides that interface. So this is really something that is back in the classic editor days. Now, some people don't yet like using the Gutenberg editor with a block editor. So you can actually install yet another plugin that's called the classic editor that will return your admin space back to the old space.
I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it, but can you just give us a few words about the Gutenberg editor? I don't know if it's on this list or not, but let people know about that.
So Gutenberg is the brand new, since November, default editing space that WordPress has now built into its core. So how that differs from the older editor is it is a block-based editor, meaning when you're building a page, think of it as building blocks, as bricks. You are now adding building blocks to your page, and each of those building blocks has yet more options within each of those blocks. So you can have an image, you can have a paragraph, you can have a title, you can have a page, a bullet list. And so the Gutenberg editor is presenting a new way of interfacing with the admin area. So it's trying to, in my belief, it's really going after the other kinds of companies that do visual editing blocks, like Beaver Builder, like Divi, like Elementor. They all function in the same way, in that they create a set of options for you to add to the page. They're drag and drop options.
I think Gutenberg was really designed as a response to Wix and
It is.
all of the other drag and drop editors. You talked before about GoDaddy, and so they have a drag and drop editor. Wix has one, what's it called, Squarespace, and some others. So I think that's what Gutenberg was designed for.
And even now, people are rapidly building plugins that is specifically designed to enhance the Gutenberg experience. So now, besides the regular set of blocks that you have in the Gutenberg editor, there are plugins that will create even more formatting options that you can add. So you can add at the drag and drop, experience, you can add a drop cap, you can add different formatting features within that editor. So, but the biggest thing about Gutenberg is it's trying to make the editing experience more visually intuitive for a non-coder. And
real quick, are some of those plugins that you just mentioned for Gutenberg listed in this list? And if not, could you name one or two of them?
So many of these plugins, they're not specifically identified as Gutenberg. Most of the plugins today that are being offered on the repository will be shown when you go to the repository to go buy a plugin or download a plugin. It will tell you if it has been tested with your current version of WordPress. And the current version of WordPress is a Gutenberg version. So if the plugin has not been tested, it will be identified on the screen that it's not tested with your current installed version of WordPress. And again, you may have an old version of WordPress installed if you haven't been maintaining and updating your core updates. But it will tell you in the WordPress repository if that plugin has been tested. Broken Link Checker is another good one that I've used a lot.
Did you talk about block bad queries?
Oh, I'm sorry. Block bad queries is a plugin that adds a series of different scripts within your WordPress environment to help filter and screen for known queries, known bad malware queries. So you can update the plugin, but it runs a database, or it runs a list. So it's trying to act as a filter, an additional filter on the plugin side of blocking. And bad queries sometimes particularly come about when you have comments enabled on a WordPress site. So the default environment for WordPress is that posts have comments enabled, and a lot of people use that space, like area, to add bad redirects or links within those comments. So a lot of times somebody has a brand new website and suddenly they have a lot of comments and they're like, oh goody, look I got all these comments. And then you go read the comments and they have a lot of junk in the comments. They're solicitations or worse to have links in them. So block bad queries is a way of helping to filter out some of those things. So again, Broken Link Checker, it does what it says it does. If there's a link on your site that is pointing to now an old, out-of-date link.
Tom, Pat
Yes.
has a question. Grab the mic, Pat, please. Wait, grab the mic, please.
So you have broken link checker. Now, if you have the 404 redirect of a broken link, it's already redirecting you to the home page. So if you have that plugin already and you put this broken link checker, will it know that that link is broken if it's directing it to the home page?
So these are two different environments. The 404 broken page is a page on your website. It's one of your web pages. The broken link, it provides external links that are broken. So if you're linking to the New York Times and the New York Times goes out of business and that link now does not work, it identifies that you have now a broken link.
So it's not
Correct.
internal link.
It's not internal. So broken link checker is for external. Oh no, I've got this rock thrower in the room.
Is there actually any broken link checkers that will replace them with things from like archive.org?
I don't know the answer to that question.
That just popped into my head, and I would love to find that.
Or the Wayback Machine. That's a good question.
Yeah.
Does everybody know
That
about
would be very interesting if it did that, because that would be so cool.
Yeah. Does everybody know what the Wayback Machine is? Tom?
So the Wayback Machine,
Rachel uses this all the time.
it's
really
really
Yeah.
cool. It's an archival repository of old websites and previous versions of even current websites. So sometimes somebody's website will go down for some reason or the other, or maybe the registration, the website does not exist anymore. And if you go to the Wayback Machine and it has its own URL, has its own link, you can actually look up a previous version of an old website. I've used this in the past to look at a client's long ago website that they had back in 2002 that they referenced if I could grab some information from 2002. So
Restore from that?
you cannot restore from the Wayback Machine, but you can see the visual look of their previous site, because it's doing screen grabs of their previous site, but also you can cut and paste the text information that you see on the Wayback Machine screen. So you can cut and paste text. You cannot cut and paste anything other than text. So the next one is, and now Beaver Builder, you can add Beaver Builder as a plugin into a WordPress page, and it'll add the Beaver Builder functionality to that page. So it will take over the page, and now you have to use Beaver Builder to build that page, and now you're using the Beaver Builder block editor to build that page. If you return to the page at a future date, it will remind you that Beaver Builder was used to build that page. And do you want to enable Beaver Builder to again edit and look at that page? But the free version of Beaver Builder will add a low-level amount of Beaver Builder to an existing WordPress page. Yes.
Use a mic.
Used site origin page builder.
You know, a long time ago, I used Site Origin Page Builder. I have not really run across it recently.
I liked it. I used it like a little while ago, and I really liked it.
I think, does Site Origin strip out Photoshop layouts? Photoshop, does it convert Photoshop into code?
I don't know. On Photoshop.
Because that's my recognition of Site Origin, was that you could use it as a tool to convert layers in Photoshop.
Tom, are you specifically saying from a .ai, which is Photoshop's format, from .ai formats to whatever, or are you specifically asking about layers?
It's PSD, but it has to be, the layers have to be named to a specific naming structure that the,
By the way, you were also 100% correct. I was thinking Illustrator files, which are the .ais. He
Yeah.
said they're
I-
.psds.
I think
PSDs.
we're talking about site origin page builder. It's like a block editor page builder.
so it may be, a name sounds familiar to something else that I use, but so it could be a different block editor, but the site origin block editor, it sounds like that you're familiar with, that you're loving to use,
Well, it's just
is another block editor.
okay. Yeah, just like Beaver Builder.
Yeah, and that's what they're trying to do. Is the intent of all of those is to make the admin building experience easier.
Yeah, so that's like what Gutenberg like copied, like it took the block editor.
Oh yeah, it's stealing.
Yeah.
You know, great artists steal.
Yeah, that's Android. All the root Android apps turned into stock Android apps.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Just go steal it.
Yeah.
Business Directory plugin just ran across today, but what it does, I haven't used it, but it creates an easier way to build a business directory, and its main purpose, I believe, is to create an easier environment to create custom post types for business directories, and then within those business directories to begin applying categories to those directories and populate the individual directories with different search mechanisms. And categories is obviously the easiest way to slice and dice your search within a custom post type.
So that's to create a directory on your WordPress.
Correct. Correct. And then you're going to be using these post types to now build.
Can you repeat what he just said, please?
Yes. So what Don said, that is to build a directory onto your existing current WordPress site. And again, it's doing the heavy lifting for you to create a custom post type. And a custom post type, for those of you not aware, is just a different, more specialized post, because the default post in WordPress is just a text page. You know, it's just you're sharing and you're creating a new post, but a custom post type has configurations and specific fields that are being built for that custom post type to create more specific drilled down information. So if you were making a directory of, you know, all the towns in Bucks County, you can have a custom post type for towns. So compressed JPEG and PNG images is great because it does what it says it does, meaning that it is saving space and is compressing information that it reads when you add an image to your image library. So typically it might save 6%, 7%, but all of those percentages help load times.
Are you doing the other?
Okay. BBPress, I'm not familiar with. I think Don is.
It's a, boy, it's been a long time since I used it. It's for building a bulletin board, basically. And I'm using it in conjunction with another plugin, which I can't remember the name of. But it's a really powerful tool if you want to build a bulletin board. Sorry, I can't give you more detail than that right now.
Next one, been around so long, also not familiar with. Lynn, do you know that one? And then BuddyPress is similar. It's similar in terms of a bulletin board. Okay, on to C. So the compress we already spoke about. Custom 404 is cool because it lets you build a brand new page in your website, and then you identify that page with the plugin. When you add the custom 404 plugin, it asks you what page you would like to have as your 404 error page. So you can customize a 404 error page and then put your own junk on that page. So I put a stop sign, a red stop sign on my custom 404 page. And then I put all of those like handicap curse words into the stop sign. And then I have a site plan underneath that. So when you get to a 404 page, if I don't have a redirect in that site and I have a 404 page, this plugin allows me to identify what my custom 404 page is. Another thing that's useful for a custom 404 page is you can use it as an advertising space to put information about your clients or about upcoming specials and stuff. So use that real estate as an opportunity. Charitable. Let me see. Okay, so it is a way to easily create a donation environment onto a website. I haven't used this plugin. Similarly, recurring donations, the same thing.
No, for some reason, I don't have my menu here. I don't know what happened to it, but those are supposed to be indented as part of
they're supposed to be
charitable.
indented. Okay.
But I don't know why I don't have my menu here. It's not on my laptop.
But charitable, Lynn, but charitable is the name of the plugin. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
And those are indents. So it has features like recurring
Okay.
donations. Those are like indents.
Okay, and then you'll provide the
I'll fix it.
URL for the plugin.
Maybe, maybe not.
Fair enough. Okay, disable comments I use all the time. I love it. So because of the natural environment for post types on a WordPress site is that comments are enabled. And I tell people all the time, just get rid of the comments because people are just going to fill it with junk. So I turn off comments all the time. Oh.
Is there's a reason you recommend the disable comments plugin as opposed to just telling them to go to the admin page and disable the comments entirely?
It's just, if you have something, let's say you already built a site and you've already got a whole bunch of pages already there. So disable comments plugin will run through your site and get rid of all of the comment boxes quickly. It'll also take all of the comments that are waiting to be commented on and then trash them.
I would assume if you use disable plugin, the disable comments plugin, it's a one and done. Where,
It is a one and done.
You have to go through every individual page.
Correct. It is a one and done. And Divi is, again, it's a plugin to create a Divi environment.
It's a premium plugin.
What?
Divi.
Divi is a premium plugin. And again, it is a block editor and it provides lots of bells and whistles for your page.
Use the mic, please. Please use the mic. Sorry. Come on, Pat. You can
You
do
went
this.
through C. Is there a calendar plugin, or is
It
that
may-
a plugin?
You know, there may be one further down the list in another alphabet. And then also, Carrie, if you want to speak to Divi.
So there's Calendar Pro is one plugin that we've used many times. It's not Divi specific. It's a WordPress plugin. You can use it on any of the platforms.
There's actually lots of calendar plugins.
Yes, there are.
Don, do you have one that you like?
The only thing I can remember is it's called Events, not Calendar.
Yeah. When we're done here, remind me, and I'll take you to the website that I built and I've used. I can't remember the name of it, so I'll have to look it
I
up.
think we've used it.
But I did a lot of research to find the calendar plugin that I like. There are many of them, and
Yeah, there may be some that come up in this list as we go down because it's alphabetized just by the plugin name.
Not everything is on this list, but I do want to let you know that we tried a calendar plugin on our new website that launched actually last Monday. And we had to can the calendar plugin that we paid $35 for because it kept breaking things on the website and it wasn't worth it.
yeah, if you use the wrong one, that'll happen. The one that I found and spent a lot more than $35 for works quite well, and it integrates with a few other things that we're doing. So I'll let you know about that later on, Pat.
Thank you.
Tom?
Cool. Okay, so this is really important, the easy HTTPS SSL redirection. So once you have, once you add an SSL certificate on your domain, and your host provider has to add the certificate, and you have to go through the validation of a SSL certificate. And then to explain what SSL is a new validation protocol that Google wants everybody to step up to, and it provides another level.
You need to explain SSL.
So SSL stands for Secure Socket Language, and why it means layer, not language. I stand corrected on the L part of the.
Secure sockets layer is the old terminology for it, which is why you have SSL 1.0, 1.1, and then 1.2, and TSL, which is transport layer security. They're all transport layer security. So when you say SSL certificates, although that's still the language commonly used, they're all TLS certs.
Okay, thanks.
But mess with Cody.
Yes. I mean, the main function of SSL is to encrypt the data transfer between Panera Bread and your host. So your web traffic is secure when you're.
Yeah, but I don't trust that. You need to have a virtual private network also, which we'll get to later.
I am saying Panera Bread in jest for the uninitiated. But it does encrypt
a public Wi-Fi.
A public Wi-Fi. It does encrypt the language going back and forth. So what this plugin does is, if you already have an existing website that has many pages and all of the links in the database links say HTTP, it will convert all of them to say HTTPS. So it will make sure that all of your links are secure. And it will not work if you don't have a SSL certificate present on the server, present in the hosting environment. So that's the first thing it checks for, is if you actually do have the certificate.
Which you have to buy from your host.
You have to buy from your host. And now another word from our sponsor.
Unless you want one that's free, you can go to Let's Encrypt, which is LET'(S) space encrypt, which you can get free domain validation certificates for. So if you don't have anything like a Shopify or WooCommerce on your website, you can get completely free certificates. Also, why would I want to use something like SSL as opposed to HTTP? In specifically reference to like Google search rankings, things like that.
So Google has gotten really to be, it used to just slap you on the wrist. They wanted everybody to have HTTPS as a standard protocol on their websites. So now it's just really requiring people. And what it does is it is flagging websites that do not have HTTPS protocol on their server, and it flags you as being potentially an insecure and unsafe website. So you have the potential, number one, of scaring away customers because they're going to see a little tiny flag that says possible unsafe website. In addition to that, Google is going to ding you in terms of SEO rankings for not having a HTTPS on your domain name. So you lose two ways.
So I'm going to ask Peter. So Peter, you were talking earlier about hosting your own site. Do you have yeah, I think it's on, right? Go ahead.
You take all an SSL certificate. It's just like, it's a string. It's a key that's like 200 characters, and there's one key on the server, and there's one key with whoever you bought the SSL from. And every time you access the website that has the key on it, that key is validated against the person you bought it from. Like the Commodore, no, it's Comido.
Yeah, Comido.
Comido, yeah. So like, you basically get a code in the cloud and a code on the server, and then it connects them and validates you. But it's like a racket because they're getting like more and more expensive every year. And it's the exact same technology. It's kind of like,
Well, it's not a racket. It works. It's designed to be secure.
Does anybody do like the EV? Is that like a different level of security? Like, is that like a longer key? Do you know?
Ask Mr. Cody.
Cody?
Do you know? EV SSL, is it like a longer key than a regular SSL?
It's not that it's a longer key. Extended validation certificates are actually specifically a additional step. So with the DV, which are a base level certificate, what it essentially says is that you have access to whatever the administrative email address associated with that domain is.
Yeah.
On extended validation certificates, they do additional research on it. So they will actually check to make sure it's a place of business. They will potentially send you a key in the mail to actually put in to essentially say, yes, this business actually exists. This is the extended validation certificate, etc. Most times, people won't even know what the difference though is because all they see, regardless, is a little lock in the corner.
No, but you get the bar if you get
You do get the
EV.
bar, but again, unless you know what certificates are, and I guarantee you, most people who you ask, if you ask them what the difference between a full green bar is and what a green lock in the corner is, they're gonna have no idea.
What do you think about? Use your mic. I don't have it. What do you think about using Cloudflare to make Google happy?
So for Cloudflare in particular, that's exactly what I'm going to do. For Cloudflare in particular, what it essentially does is it helps to protect against DDoS attacks, which are essentially a lot of traffic being sent to a website to bring it down. Cloudflare acts as a CDN, which essentially is a server that is geographically closer to the person so that the page's response times can be quicker. You can use something like Cloudflare, and most people do. However, especially in terms of security, if you need an extremely high security environment, you don't want to entrust a place like Cloudflare because what you're essentially doing is you are giving them 100% access to redirect your traffic at will. That's why you wouldn't want to use it. However, for most websites, it's not going to be an issue, and it potentially for the SEO will make it higher in their results. I don't know about that.
Mm-hmm. It does, yeah. Yeah, speed is now an elevated ranking factor. It wasn't as much before, but they're responding. Google is really responding to customer user experience. So they know that the customer, and if nothing else, the website has made everybody more impatient. Let's see, okay. So Elementor, again, is another page builder. And so, just like the others, it's providing a better, not better, but it's trying to provide an easier interface for you to build a page with. Enviro Gallery is cool. Yeah.
Could I ask a question there?
Yeah.
Since I'm in that stage where I have hosting a domain name and I was at the point where I thought I had to pick a theme and then I'd have the website, could you explain the difference between that and then page building?
So what these environments do when you add something like Divi or Beaver Builder or Elementor, you have the option when you start and initiate a brand new page on your website. So you now have the option of building that page with Divi or Beaver or whatever page building tool. That tool will now take over the space that you're using to build that page, and now it's giving you many more options that are pre-formatted options that create blocks within the page. And it's when you're going down the page, it's block by block, but each of those blocks, and think of a block as a horizontal division of your page. Mm-hmm. Every single part of that individual block has choices within it. So even inside of it, when you add a new block, even with Gutenberg, when you add a new block, you now have to add something inside that block. whether it's an image, it's a paragraph, it's a title, it's a list element, it's a column. And so each of these are additional little blocks inside of another block.
Let me try to help a little bit. Mike, when you choose a theme, if you don't choose a separate page builder, each theme has its own native page layout scheme.
Right.
And an editor to let you do it. But it's very limited in what you can do within that page. By adding a page builder, like Tom was saying, it gives you much more flexibility in terms of the layout, the blocks, the tables, the bullets, the colors, the formatting, and all that other kind of stuff.
Right.
You don't absolutely need it, but it gives you a lot more flexibility. Carrie,
Okay.
you want to add something?
Yeah, so what these theme builders do for you is they come pre-built with tons of flexibility. So if you want to put a slider, an image, a text box, a call to action box, or any number of levels of functionality, they're built into the theme so you don't have to program them natively. You just pull them in to the block and then start using them. So they save a ton of time in the process.
Does that help?
Yeah, it helps a lot. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Enviro Gallery I've used. It's really cool in that you can create extensive galleries that have they have different configurations of that gallery, the transition configurations of how you move. And again, the gallery is just a series of individual JPEGs. You can also add video as well, but primarily most people are adding individual images within a gallery. But those individual images can be tagged with different categories or filters, and they can be collected within different albums as well. So you can have a gallery that is specific to a project type, so that if you're trying to make sure that that gallery only contains images from project 1, you can build a gallery from project 1, and then you can open up a brand new gallery, a different gallery, and now that's for only things contained for project 2. But the Enviro Gallery gives you a lot of different options for tagging and identifying the images within it. So a static looks like it's a custom post type plugin that is specifically geared and organized to help the real estate listings. So one of the things that you'll find with some plugins, and particularly plugins that are associated with custom post types and custom pages, is many of them are geared around different kinds of buckets and different kinds of sales channels, whether it's real estate listings, whether it's car listings, different things of that nature. So obviously a static is something for real estate listings because it's going to add a lot of the fields that you need in it already, particularly like the map view and the different agents that are associated with that property. So the real estate people in the audience here would certainly love that. Easy social share buttons I have used. It provides a quick, easy way to populate and give the URL information for the different social channels. So it doesn't add a social share to your page until you fill out the information on where that social share goes. So if you put in information for Facebook, then it's going to add a Facebook icon, and you can add these share buttons to both widget areas as well as to page areas. Instablog. Okay, that's cool. Just a note here under that one where it says easy social share buttons. Many of these plugins came from a list that was on Kinsta, and you'll see that in bold, KINSTA, kinsta.com, and go to their blog area, and you'll see many of these plugins listed there as well. So Easy Digital Downloads is cool in the sense that it keeps track of, you may provide something on your website. It could even be like a PDF, or it could be some type of resource that you are providing to the public on your website. And the easy digital downloads helps to identify and name that resource, but it also tracks how many people have downloaded the resource. So it gives you some good user information about how resourceful the public found that digital download. And I'm not sure if on the it will give you the address of people who have downloaded it, because they'll have to fill out some kind of a form on that download. But it helps you with tracking information. That's the best part of the easy digital downloads. So form plugins are a huge, now there's no plugins listed here, but on this page. But for instance, Contact Form 7 is the most widely used contact form plugin. It creates an easy environment for adding a plugin. I know Don uses other form builders. And again, the advantages of using a form plugin is it allows you to add fields and information on the fly. And then it gives you just a piece of shortcode. That's all you need to add that form now onto your site, onto the individual page.
I also like a scheduling app called Frame-A-Date. So if you have multiple people and you need to get a time frame that everybody can meet or something like that, Frame-A-Date is a great, very easy form filler that you just put in what dates, you put in the times, you send it to the people, and then they will.
Lynne, you got that? I know, but when this will be available to everybody. Yep.
So another really popular form that we use more of than Form 7 is Formidable. You can get a developer license for like $120, and you can make an unlimited number of forms with that. The reason we like Formidable is it is more flexible in layout and feature set. And the other thing I don't like about Form 7 is Form 7 defaults the email to whoever is set up as the admin on the site, which is sometimes not the person who actually wants to receive the data. And then you have to add in extensions to sort of force it to redirect to someone else. Whereas Formidable gives you the flexibility to just set whoever you want to be recipient and multiple recipients. So it's a more flexible platform.
I forgot to mention too, every single thing I mention will be free unless I specifically say otherwise.
So a non-free, well, the plugin I think is free, but you have to have an account, an external account. There is a company called Jot, J-O-T, JotForms, that allows. I qualified my information here. That's in J, but I don't think it's in this list. It is now. So JotForms is really cool because JotForms, you build the form at JotForm, and there's a lot of integrations. So you can integrate the forms to MailChimp, to Constant Contact. You can integrate it to any number of things. And JotForm keeps adding more and more integrations into it. As I said, it is a subscription service. But adding a form that is built at JotForms into your website is very, very easy to do.
I use JotForm a lot. It's everything Tom said and much, much more. So if you need a really good and flexible form builder, I recommend that one for sure.
Cool. And we'll see it in a few more letters. Okay, so this is one I use extensively, Genesis Simple Edits. Now this is preconditioned on the fact that if you have Genesis, if you're using a Genesis theme. So Genesis is a series of themes that are developed by StudioPress, and Genesis is a framework, and there's a lot of coders and people that swear by Genesis because it provides a really clean, simple, fast loading environment for your site. So if you have Genesis installed as a theme, what Simple Edits provides is it provides some areas that you can go into and edit the information. And the biggest area that I edit is I use Simple Edits to edit the footer. So I can overwrite the information in the footer and put my own information in the footer. And Google Analytics dashboard, again, this is one that I've used extensively. It is a smaller set of information that is pulled from Google Analytics. You do need to have a Google Analytics account. So when you add this plugin, it's going to have you authenticate your Google account that you're tying this plugin to. But now it puts Google Analytics information, and again, it's a cleaner, smaller set of information onto the admin dashboard. So when you first log into your admin screen, the first screen that you're at, you'll have an area from this plugin, and there are some drop downs. You can view information about sessions, information about visitor count, information about locations. But it's an easier way to use Google Analytics than it is to go to Google Analytics, because people are really overwhelmed by Google Analytics. It's just way too much information. So this provides a nice little slice and dice environment to read your information. And then Google XML Sitemaps, it does what it says. It provides an ability to link the site to an existing sitemap that you have.
Explain what a sitemap is.
So a sitemap is a text file that is created, and you need the best way to generate a sitemap is to have a Google Webmaster account. So you can create a sitemap and link that sitemap on your website. As well, later on, you'll see Yoast as well provides a sitemap as part of what it does on a website. But sitemaps are a text file of all of the pages, and it's just a laundry list of all of your pages for the Google bots to read. So when your website is being scanned and being indexed by the Google bots, the sitemap provides a quick, fast cheat sheet for Google to read all of your pages and the links to what all those pages are located at.
I specifically like Google XML sitemaps because there's also an option where it will automatically update when you make changes to the page. It will automatically re-notify Google, which is useful, especially for smaller sites, because Google might not index your website as often. So there's an option in Google XML sitemaps that will automatically notify Google when you have changes to them.
Cool. So groups by Ithenix groups. Okay. So what this does is, and I have something similar on another site, is you can pre-configure groups within your user accounts. So if you have a lot of customers, or let's say you have a real estate agent, so you have any number of different kinds of users on your site, groups will allow you to create configurations to provide different access levels for those users. So you can restrict areas of the website, you can restrict pages, you can use the groups plugin to manage the groups and manage what they can get to on your site. Google Authenticator is good, particularly now. We were talking about this earlier. It provides an ability to create a two-factor authentication. And what two-factor authentication is it's another level of security. And what it will do is it will send a text message to your phone. And then you have to respond back and indicate to the authenticator what that text message says. So a lot of, this is really important now with hacking.
So I have a question for Pat and Peggy, if you don't mind. So you guys are trying to rebuild your website, and when you said at the beginning you're looking to learn about plugins that'll help you rebuild your website, is this helping you, or is this so overwhelming that your head is exploding? And be honest with us, because it is. Grab a microphone, because this is overwhelming, I think. Hold on.
I was going to ask a question. Pat does all the Google Analytics and all that. I basically do the design, and then I put in the plugins. So, and the one thing that is kind of the Genesis theme, I've used a lot of Genesis theme.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have the editor, okay, which we've used Divi.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I worry about, and which I have found has happened, is we talk about the conflict. All of a sudden you throw in a plugin and now nothing works. Forms aren't working. This isn't working. This should work. Should work is the big thing. Why isn't it working? And you have no idea. So now I'm looking at the G at the bottom and the G at the top. So now I have a Genesis theme, and I got this simple edit. So I can go in and I can edit the theme, but I have the Gutenberg block editor. Will they conflict, and have you had any problems with them conflicting?
So I know for a fact that Genesis is Gutenberg friendly.
Okay.
Because Genesis has a huge user base.
Okay.
And it has a huge commitment to constantly staying up to date. And so all of their themes have been reconfigured to work with Gutenberg.
Good. So that's kind of blowing my mind. Yeah.
But your question is actually deeper than what you think.
Okay.
There are plugins which will test all of your plugins to see if they're compatible. And if they're not, there's another plugin which will show you which plugins are using what resources. And then you start, so to debug, you start by disabling the plugins that use the most resources, see if it breaks. If it doesn't, go to the next one, go to the next one. There's a whole debugging process when something breaks, and there are plugins to help you go through that. I think they're on the list somewhere. I don't know what they're called. But
now
your
my
question
mind
is a
blown.
really valid one,
Yeah,
and it's difficult. This is really difficult.
Yeah.
And depending on who you talk to, some people will say, if Lydia Grossoff were here, she would say, you should have no more than 10 or 15 plugins on your website.
Mm-hmm.
Other people will say, if you do it right, you can have 100 plugins. I don't know what the right answer is. You just need to know what the hell you're doing and do it properly.
So what does security guys say?
I'd like to hear what Molly has to say about that.
Oh,
Yeah, grab the mic, Molly.
I was saying, I try to keep it below 10. Your theme should be able to handle, like ideally, a lot of what you're doing, and some of what we're
Get
talking
closer,
about.
please.
Eventually, you can do on
Closer?
your own with just a little bit of tiny bit of coding. A few like disabling the comments. I'm sorry, I don't know your name behind the camera, but as Cody was saying, it's very easily done. You don't always need like a plugin. So sometimes be careful. Too many plugins can slow things down.
Now you would disable a plugin.
I'm sorry, a comment.
A comment. I'm sorry, you would disable a comment prior to building it. So to get rid of them, the one and done thing, like Don was saying, we have I saw comments because we'll build the site and then the client wants to take over it, and the next thing I know, it's garbage. And then we'll get it back and go, well, what did you do? Well, we turned on comments. And it's like, well, now you've got all this garbage. So now the plugin seems like it would be a good thing, because there's
Sure, maybe
5,000 comments over the last 5 years. So it's hard to know what. So you can put the plug in, get rid of the comments, take the plugin out.
Yeah, why not?
Depending on what the plugin does.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you meant the disabled.
Yeah. You
yes.
put the plug in, disable all the comments, and then pull out the plugin.
So again, perfect example, like the one that does the SSL redirects and makes sure that everything's SSL. You don't need that after you use it, because it will make sure that all of your web pages are HTTPS to transfer them, and then you don't necessarily need the redirector anymore.
Unless what about like mixed media errors? You might need to leave it in there for mixed media.
So again,
Yeah.
it really depends.
but you
on
ought
what
to
it
go
is.
fix those. You know.
Go fix them, right, okay.
From a compatibility and a security perspective, limit the number of plugins you have, and the reason being is because the more plugins you have, the more possibilities there are for security errors in there. And in addition, if you can do it from within the main body of WordPress, do that, because when you have future updates, you're not going to have to worry about it being compatible with WordPress because they came from WordPress because that's what you did them in. The disable comments feature is a feature that is built into WordPress. So if you can, use the things that are built into WordPress by default. Anything going forward, there's going to be high likelihood that they have backwards compatibility. So you're not going to run into an issue with future WordPress updates interfering with its own WordPress stuff. You're probably going to, if anything, run into an issue where a random plugin that you added on will create issues and incompatibility and instability in your website because it was not in the base code to begin with.
I hear you, thank you. That's what's blowing my mind, is what's compatible and what's not.
And you know, the other thing is that every plugin is using a resource. Every plugin is using a call back to the server to deliver that resource and deliver that functionality. So every time, you know, the little man is running back and forth between your computer and the server, you know, that's a hit to your performance.
But Pat, the issue is plugins get changed almost every day. You need to update your plugins on a regular basis. When you update them, sometimes they work, sometimes they break. It's a never-ending, I mean, it's basically full employment for the rest of your life to keep this all working.
Yeah, that's true.
So a word to you about your clients, make sure you have a maintenance contract so you can get paid to manage all of this.
And you asked me as far as our website, is it overwhelming? Absolutely. You know, I'm in the kind of business where you just never know what you're going to be asked. And just by listening to some of this, I could at least say, you know what, I remember I was in a seminar once and they mentioned it was possible. Because most of the time when we ask programmers, they just type into Google what you want, find the best rating, and compare them, try to pick a name that they recognize, and you know, they put that one in.
Yeah.
So I don't have much say over use this one.
Yeah.
But it does help me to see a bigger picture. But it's overwhelming. We're only on G.
You have a question over there?
Like, yep.
Jumping down to the Gutenberg editor, is that just another option like you would get with Divi or the one that was on the E? I forget the exact name.
No. Gutenberg is now part of the WordPress core. So when you install WordPress or you update to the current version of WordPress, Gutenberg is part of that environment. It's not a plugin now. It is part of the operating environment.
And even though I would have the Gutenberg editor, it still would be advisable to use a web page, a site builder type, like
it really comes.
Divi or-
It's now down to your personal preference. It's now down to what you choose to do. And again, Gutenberg is trying to go after that market of providing an easier interface and more bells and whistles for you as a non-coding editor.
Right. Well, that's why I thought that maybe they were doing the same functions.
They were doing the same function, but now Gutenberg is part of the WordPress base code. It's not being added, it's part of it.
But Mike, there's another plugin, I don't know if you've gotten to it or not yet, where you can disable Gutenberg.
Yes, classic editor.
I personally, and I don't know how Molly feels or anybody else here, personally, I wouldn't touch Gutenberg for at least a year until it
Right, but I don't
gets
have
through
any
its
experience
paces.
with the classic editor, so I feel like I just want to start with Gutenberg and go from there.
From the security guy who just said compatibility moving forward, if you learn how to use it in Gutenberg, I guarantee you're going to have a lot less issues with stuff going forward. So if you don't know anything, probably a good place to start
That's what I'm thinking.
if you want your block editor. And if you don't have a feature, then that's when you should probably look outside of it. If you don't know anything, start using Gutenberg, because I guarantee you moving forward, you're not going to run into compatibility issues if you're already using Gutenberg, from WordPress at least.
But if you do have experience, turn off Gutenberg, please, for at least a year.
Gotcha. You're going to be head and shoulders against
No bias here, though.
Back to G.
All right. So we're done with that one. Oh, we're done. Oh, gravity forms. Don, why don't you?
We already did Genesis.
Yeah, I know. I was going to gravity forms.
Is a premium form building plugin. I can't think of anything that you would want to do in forms that Gravity Forms can't do. It's really fantastic. It also works with another plugin that allows you to display the data that you capture in Gravity Forms called Gravity View. Different company altogether, believe it or not. And if we have time at the end here, although I'll explain what I just talked about in the hallway, I'll show you how Gravity Forms and Gravity View work together. I have it on the new Bucks County website, Consortium website. So Gravity View is it's premium, it's somewhat expensive, but it's as powerful as a form builder can be. Actually, let me explain what just happened.
Okay.
No one told me that the voting commission needed to have this room tonight at 8 o'clock. So the two ladies that were in the hallway there are the people that are supposed to come in and set up the voting machines, which are right behind you there. They were told by the Boy Scouts that they were able to have this room at 8 o'clock. Obviously, they can't have the room at 8 o'clock. I told them to come back at 9 o'clock, and they were not at all happy. I invited them to join us to learn about WordPress. That didn't seem to move them in any positive way. So, yeah, and pizza wasn't interesting to them either. So anyway, they really want us out of here by 9 o'clock, just to give you a heads up.
All right.
They were pissed, actually.
All right.
I'll take that out of the recording.
Well, it's, well,
On that note, Don, we're 5 letters in out of 26, and we have 1 hour left.
We have 50 minutes left, yeah. So can you move it along, Tom?
I'll move it along. So we already did.
Unless we want to do it by questions instead. Well, I guess you don't know all the. No, go ahead. Just move it along.
All right, geo directory. I think again, it's creating a custom post type specific to things like TripAdvisor. So it's obvious that it's creating specific functions. Give charitable. Lynn, I suppose that's probably another one that is a plugin that helps for charitable donations.
Correct.
Heroic Favicon I've used a lot. It's fun because it creates those little tiny little favicons that you see in the URL address bar. So if you want like your little tiny logo to appear to the left of HTTPS, this plugin will generate that little favicon for you from a JPEG or PNG file.
Molly, would you consider that one of your 10 or 15 must-have plugins? No, she does not.
It's not.
I'm sorry. No.
It's not. It's a fun plugin. It's in the fun category.
Don't be equivocal or anything.
Oh yeah, can you use it and remove it? Maybe. All right. Image Optimizer does the same thing as one of the other ones did. It scrunches your images to make them smaller, make them load faster. Instagram feed I've used, which is really fun. It provides feed, but you put in your Instagram address, and you can configure if it's 2 columns, how many images you want the Instagram feed to show onto your website. So I use it a lot with contractors. So if they're doing a brand new project and they're too lazy to do anything else, I can at least get them to take a photograph and post it to Instagram. And all contractors are lazy.
JotForms is invisible
Okay,
right there,
good.
but it is
Good. We can speed through J. Speed through K. Lynn?
Yeah, it's be through.
All right. Okay. Lazy load is I forget how it works, but it basically creates a second set to easily speed up the load times of a page that's got a lot of images on it, a lot of data. LearnDash, Lynn, I think you know more about.
LearnDash and Lifter LMS are both learning management system platforms. If you want to put courses up in the cloud, and I evaluated both of them, and I've decided that I'm going to be using Lifter LMS when we build our LMS off of our WordPress website. However,
LMS means?
LMS is Learning Management System. It's a platform, but we have decided that instead of putting it on the main WordPress page, we're going to build it off a subdomain page.
Okay, I haven't used this one, but again, it's a gallery plugin that makes it easier to create galleries onto your web pages. Ninja Forms is another form builder. So again, it's an environment for you to build a form and then cut and paste that code onto your page to have your form.
Nothing.
Okay. Again, Photo Gallery is another gallery plugin. Post types order is very, very useful. So it will create an easy drag and drop interface onto your admin area. So if you have post types that you have posted, you know, and the default way for posts is latest is first. So you have, you know, January, February, March, April, May, and then you decide, I would like to reorder these posts because I like this post the most. I want to put this post up at the top. So post types order allows you to go into your list of posts and reorder the display order of those posts.
I like Piwigo too, which is a photo gallery. That's Piwigo. Also, it's free. So if you need a simple one.
Piwigo?
Piwigo.
Spell that
Okay.
again.
Piwigo.
Cool. Perf Matter, don't know what that does. Okay, so this is optimizing the amount of information, the data transfer back and forth. So again, it's a performance type of plugin. Query Monitor is good because it shows you how much resources are being used and the weight and the load times of different aspects of your website, whether it is plugins, but it gives you performance, real-time performance information in the admin space. So there is a little bar at the top and it tells you how fast everything is working. Same thing, a really simple SSL will convert and update all of your HTTP links into HTTPS. Responsive Lightbox I haven't used, but Lightbox is another way for you of displaying a image above the content area into a specific lightbox. And lightboxes a lot of times can take up the whole screen, and it creates a more interesting user interface if you're trying to showcase something. Shortcodes Ultimate it's not needed really as much anymore, but it used to be something where you could generate all the different kinds of special containers and objects and different features within a page, and then it would give you shortcode to add all of those special features, and meaning like galleries or slideshows or even containers and things of that nature. But again, this is not really as needed anymore with the block editors. Simple Sitemap will create a bullet list of your sitemap, so you can actually display a sitemap on your page. So sometimes people will put a sitemap into their footer area, or even have a link to a page that contains a sitemap. So simple sitemap will quickly generate a bullet list of all of your pages. SEO redirection, let's see. Okay, so SEO redirection, again, it deals with a 404 error code. So it creates a better experience and a better SEO score because it's defining where that redirection goes. And simple download monitor, that does some things as we had a previous plugin that helps to give you data about downloads that are being downloaded from your website. And sticking back to top, I use a ton, and I use it for probably every single site. And it creates a floating little simple arrow at the lower left-hand corner of your browser screen, whether it's a phone or a laptop. So if you've got a long page, as soon as you scroll past your first page view, it will pop up a little tiny arrow at the bottom screen, and you can go down and touch that arrow and pop back up to the top of the screen. And Stop Bad Bots is another it's another plugin to help cut down on hacking and malware. It's hard to pronounce. Security is a company that deals in malware removal, malware scanning, other types of protection activities. It will clean hacking. So security will add some features into your page to help with security. But it is, if you want a full featured secure experience, you really need to have a plan with security itself. What this plugin does is just gives you some information about security and also visits. But I would go to security itself to look at the different plans they have, because some of the plans are, yes, you've been hacked, good luck, and then the other plans are, we'll fix your site.
Question?
Yes.
Hold on, you're number 2. Go ahead.
Cody, so we're on S's and security is your thing. So what's the best free security plugin that you recommend?
Screw the rest of them. I recommended WordFence. I was going to wait until the W's to say it. Literally disregard every single other plugin that you get except for that one. And the reason being is because most of the security stuff that you need, you can get in their freemium model for it. And that includes, if you actually take the time to look through and read all the different stuff that is available, for 90 to 95% of the people that you're doing work for, WordPress will take care of it within their freemium portion of it.
Cool. You got that, Pat? WordFence. Got it. Okay. Got it. Okay.
Smush Image, again, it does the same thing as other plugins. It compresses things as you add them to the library. So, but for the premium version of Smush Image, if you already have 1,000 images in your library, with a premium version of Smush, it will go through your 1,000 items and now optimize them.
Explain what it does and the advantage of it.
So Smush is compressing your image so that it takes up less space, it takes up less data, but it retains the image quality. It has scripts to go into the image and find little ways of saving space in that image.
And it loads much faster.
It loads faster, so you get a better user experience. You get brownie points from Mr. Google when your site loads faster.
So Pat, do you use something like that? You do, okay. Did you, Lynn, go ahead.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that it's a one and done. We were we wanted to use that because we had a lot of images that were uploaded by our volunteer website builders.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we're still slow loading. Yeah, we need Smushpad.
And Site Origin Page Builder, I'm not familiar with, but it's probably another plugin to create an easier page building experience. Okay, social welfare, again, this is a way to easily create share buttons onto your posts and pages. So it will, you can set it up to easily add automatically when you add a page or post. You can choose to have a share button now up here at the bottom of that page. SEO framework I'm not familiar with, but it's obviously doing things to help with tools to help you with SEO activities on a website. And a lot of the SEO activities include things like adding a better site title, adding a better meta description, and adding alt tags to your images, as well as other content specific activities. So many of these SEO plugins create sort of a worksheet environment, a way for you to check your page that it is being improved upon in terms of SEO scoring, and it will give you some tips and information about how you can improve that page with these plugins. So these plugins create kind of like a best practices list for you to look at as you're adding pages. WP Show Post is great because it will typically on a page, you can, with WP Show Post, you can now show with shortcode the posts that you have in your blog post. So you might have a page that you want to display some post information onto a normal static page. So you might have a directory, or you might have other custom post types that you want to display onto a page. So for instance, a lot of times when I'm building a page for somebody that I want to display recent projects, those projects may be built within custom post types, but I can show those, show a thumbnail onto my homepage by adding shortcode to show posts onto the homepage. WP Security Audit Log, change your site. Okay, so again, this is another thing that is helping you improve security. So it's giving you some real-time information.
WordFence is now on the bottom of that page.
Okay, right here is WordFence.
Also, there's a lot of things that you can do that WP Security Audit can now be found in WordFence, because it also helps you keep log of a very basic log. So WordFence now will also somewhat include a security log portion, so it will notify you of changes made to files. But if you want an in-depth log, WP Security Audit is a much better way to take it.
Cool. The best security per okay. So question about WordFence. Well, WordFence does notify you when it detects changes.
Yes, you can have it set for notifications. That's why I said 90% of whatever you need for most of the people will be taken care of within the free version of it.
Okay.
And if whatever you need is not in there, you can purchase an API key and it will unlock the rest of the features for you.
Okay. Does WordFence provide notification if your site is down?
I don't know, because I mostly just use it for the security features.
Okay.
But it's very easy to get some sort of notification in place to do so.
Okay.
And we've already covered it in one of the earlier ones too.
Okay, cool.
So is it protecting against bots and malware as well?
Yep, which is also why I said 90% of whatever you need can be found within it. Because you can also, for example, a lot of times if you text something like somebody trying to log in with the word admin as the username, you can automatically blacklist that IP address for a limited time, because you don't want to blacklist it forever necessarily. But if it's a bot, it'll stop it from entering any furthers from that IP address for a very limited time. So it'll immediately stop hitting your website because it's detected someone trying to log in from that IP address with the admin username, especially if you don't have admin as a username or an account or anything like that, and you can set it to whatever you want. So if you have construction company XYZ and your admin name is your own personal name instead of your construction company, you can put it so that if somebody tries to log in with construction company XYZ, it will automatically blacklist them for a limited time.
Is it scanning? Can you put it into like they do with Norton antivirus, where you can put it into a scan mode and check your site periodically?
Yes, you can. There's certain features in the scanning portion of it where you can do them manually. I think if you want automatic features for that, it's a portion of the paid one, but I'm not 100% sure. But I know you do have scan features.
Thank you.
Another question for WordFence. Can it save the log files to another location besides your server?
That I don't know, but I'm going to assume yes. And if you have a little bit of coding knowledge, you can definitely just change the location that it's saving logs to.
Okay.
Something that wasn't mentioned in here too that I really like is the M's for Matomo, which is the Japanese word for honesty. It's a Google Analytics replacement. So anytime I personally visit a website and I can see every single tracker that somebody has in their website, if I see Google Analytics, you won't see me as a visitor to your website. If I see Matomo, most likely either A, you're self-hosting your own analytics, which means that you're no longer tracking me across the rest of the internet. And even if I just see them, but you have it hosted with Matomo instead for your in-depth analytics, I know that whoever put in your analytics stuff at least knew enough to go check for it. And so I'm much more comfortable letting somebody see where my traffic is coming from if they have that. That is Matomo, which is M-A-M-O-T-O. It used to be called WP-Piwik, which is P-I-W-I-K. And just like you said about the Google portion in the back end of WordPress, for that little site builder portion, if you add in the WP-Piwik plugin, you can see the exact same thing.
Okay.
WP-Piwik, that's P-I-W-I. Matomo is M-A-M-O-T-O. Or just type in what is the Japanese word for honesty. So it is literally a Google Analytics replacement. If you want to see heat maps, if you want to see visitors, so where your visitors came from, if somebody has Google Analytics on their website, I will not personally allow those trackers to access any of my data, so it doesn't even send the requests for that information. So you'll literally never see me visit your website if you're using Google Analytics on your backend.
When you say we'll never see you visit the website, that doesn't mean you won't visit the website.
Exactly. So I might look at your website, but you'll never know that I was looking at your website. So if you're looking for user data and you're seeing where people are coming from, you won't see me. And honestly, if I've taken care of anybody's security stuff, you'll also not see them. That's just the blanket statement, because Google tracks you so far and so vastly that when I add in things like Privacy Badger for your extensions, I will make sure to blacklist Google Analytics by default.
So much for honesty. Getting close, Tom.
How are we doing on time?
There's more than Z, so move along.
More than Z. More than Z?
We're making a new album.
All right.
She's got another language after this.
Yeah. WPS hide login. Okay. BFF security, login security. All right. So it's a security plugin. WP Rocket is for caching, and caching is to help speed up the page load. So it's going to create a preview of your page to make it load faster. WooCommerce is huge. It's probably the biggest plugin that is installed, and it installs a whole number of things, but they are specific to adding products and adding a way to for people to buy products onto your website.
So Peter, grab the microphone and tell us where you can get it for almost free.
WooCrack, WOOCRACK.com lets you get, and then they give you a plugin that gives you the updates to the one, so you're never behind.
Can you add that, Lynn?
WOOCRACK.com. WooCrack.
Yes, so this is, okay, this is a disclaimer from the consortium. We do not endorse using it, but we are aware of it.
It's EULA. I think it is legal. It is.
Well, thinking it's legal is different than it being legal.
No, it should be. Because you're not supposed to be able to get the updates, but like this site, WooCrack, gives you them anyway. So like, I don't know, it's perfect. It's like nothing wrong with it.
The only way they would be completely free is if they were under like a GPL license to begin with, which means that the updates are free. Like a lot of times, WordPress, for example, the reason they end up pulling new features in is because they are 100% GPL, which means you can use them for anything. A lot of times when you're cracking software, you're pulling the information out so it's available, but it's not necessarily fully cracked. As in, it's not supposed to be available, which is why you can't get updates. Because you could download Photoshop, for example, their Creative Cloud Edition, crack it, cut it off, enable a trial version, and you can get them all, but you just can't get updates. That's still illegal because the licensing is not supportive of that process. So if it's GPL and whatnot, it's probably completely fine. Some of them probably are GPL with a freemium model, but I doubt all of them are.
My understanding, you pay $5 to WooCrack a year, so that.
Yeah, but who's WooCrack?
Is some Indian guy. Well, some guy.
I doubt that it's WooCommerce. So you're paying. It sounds like, well, I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And if you download it, it might break something else on your site.
It's.
I mean, personally, I know you're young and you're trying to get things inexpensively.
Yeah.
But believe me, people spend their lifetime building all this software, and they're entitled to be paid for it.
Yeah, but they factor in the people who are taking it.
I don't care. They are entitled to be paid for it. And I personally think if you want to use the functionality, this is just my speech. I'm sorry for giving a speech here, but if you want to use this functionality and you're planning to make money with it, which you are, pay the damn people to provide you these products and the updates so they can continue to do it. That's the end of my speech.
All right. Yoast. So that's also a huge plugin that is added. And again, it provides an interface for you to check your pages and to help you improve your pages for SEO factors, meaning you can it will suggest that you should improve your title tag. It's not going to magically create your title tag. It just tells you where you're deficient on your page and where you can improve. And it gives you like a little red, yellow, green score on your page. And again, it's to help improve your pages.
And there are tons and tons of courses available by Yoast. Some are free, some are not.
Yes.
And if you're going to be doing your own SEO, which is we've had entire workshops just on that, you really need to dig into it to do it properly. And I know Molly's an expert on this, or a semi-expert. I know who else? I know Carrie is an expert. Don, I would assume you're somewhat of an expert on SEO. It's to do it right is a real art and science.
Cool. BSCRM. Okay. I haven't used this one, but it's a contact relation management. So it's providing an easier way for you to keep track of contacts.
Okay, what's after Z, Lynn?
Yeah. What's the alphabet after Z? Okay, 404 page. I think we covered that. There was another one that did a similar activity. So you can create your own 404 error page. And these are our resources that we grabbed plugin list from. These are some of the aggregations that we used.
I didn't get them all off of it.
No, I had a list that I had also sent. And keep a rolling list.
I included your list.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not on. I included your list, but I did not have time to detail each and everything off all these lists.
Yeah.
So that's why I just included the links.
Yep. Okay.
What's next?
Is there a next, Lynn?
Oh, yes, keep going.
Okay. Cool.
Okay, so let's ask the audience, are there any specific plugins that you would like to know about? Something that you need or want, and maybe somebody in the audience can suggest something. Carrie, do you have something?
Well, a question for catalog-like sites with custom post-page development. Anybody come across a plugin that really helps facilitate that custom post plugin development?
Well, we talked, there was one.
There was one
earlier.
that was mentioned.
Right,
I
but
noticed.
be specific, because I've done that, but not using the post.
So I'll give you a visual example. If you've ever been to like Home Depot and you go into their kitchen cabinets, and then you get a menu on the left, and then you pick a base cabinet, and you see an explosion of dimensions with the photograph of the product, maybe some pricing and other kinds of information. That's a custom post page structure.
Or a gravity form.
Or a gravity form.
Right. And then gravity view. Go ahead, Don.
So this was on my list of my absolute favorite plugin is Advanced Custom Fields, which is not free, but incredibly powerful for basically creating little databases within the post structure. You can probably explain it better than I can, but you can create anything like that. You can create any kind of, like your dimensions, a field for dimensions, but you're still using the whole blog structure. So you create a separate category just for those kinds of things. But we use that a lot it's essentially creating a little mini database.
Yeah, they did cover this in the Lancaster WordCamp.
Lancaster people love. There's like 6 guys there that are experts.
Yeah, the ACF plugin. Yeah, is well loved out there.
And it's I really don't know if you can. It's not that hard to do. Well, and the other important thing about ACF is that if you're at all into Gutenberg, ACF integrates better with Gutenberg than just about anything. I mean, it's fast. They basically have the ACF has custom Gutenberg blocks built into it. So you can create some really cool little databases like what you're talking about.
Can you import the database?
That's going to be
I don't
my next
know.
question.
Yeah.
Beats me.
Does ACF store everything as a JSON document, or does it attach a JSON for it for the custom field?
I really don't know the answer.
Gotcha.
Because one of the advantages of working with Woo is you have an Excel spreadsheet import utility. So does this support that, or do you have to create another kind of way to get the data in?
I haven't tried it with Woo yet.
Okay, so with gravity forms, you can import from an Excel file, including images and all of that.
Take a look into it. Thank you.
Yeah. And then you use gravity form to set up whatever view structure you want. I'll be glad to show you how to do that if you're interested. Anything else? Anybody? Molly, do you have a specific plugin you either want to tell us about or something that you're looking for? Grab the mic, please.
Thanks, Karen. You were asking about
Get closer, please.
StudioPress and whether your StudioPress framework would be compatible with Gutenberg. There's something called Gutenberg Ramp, which is like in between turning it off and going full whole hog. You can literally select the post type, or I even have it, there's just a little snippet you can get on their site of the plugin, and you can do it post by post if you want. It's very simple. You just put that in your functions of your child theme, which actually reminds me, we didn't talk about child themes, did we? There's a child theme configurator plugin. It's really simple. I don't even remember how to make child themes anymore. I just use the plugin. It's so simple. Everyone knows what a theme is, right? And then if you make a change to it, but they push out a new version, you'll lose your changes. And you don't want to do that. So you make a child theme and it almost sits behind a wall, like the parent theme, the actual theme gets updated, and then your child theme is sort of downstream from that. Maybe is a good way to put it. And you can keep your changes, and you have the same theme, just sort of like a mirror version of it, a child that would inherit from the parent.
And it doesn't get changed when you update the theme.
Right, but you can keep your theme current.
So Mike, when you choose a theme, make sure you install a child theme plugin, make a child theme, and then do all your changes in the child theme, so that when your theme gets updated, it doesn't change the changes that you've made.
Yeah, we'll break the site.
You got that?
Yeah.
Right, write that down.
Yeah, I remember discussing child themes at the smaller WordPress
Yeah,
group.
right.
Yeah, I mean, one of the
I did have a question though also.
Go ahead.
Um,
We've got 10 minutes. Go ahead.
Yeah. The gallery sites have any features for video. And I understand also from the smaller group that I wouldn't bring video into the site from YouTube. I would leave it on YouTube and embed it. And I'm just wondering what that's going to look like on the main site.
So that's what I use on the Bucks County website. And there's a YouTube plugin. I think it's called YouTube actually. And you set it up so that when you load your YouTube videos to your channel, you set up your plugin to read all the videos on your channel, and it will display however you decide. There's various ways of displaying them on your site. And you'll see if you go to the video gallery of our site, that's what I use.
Right. Okay.
All right. Pat, what do you want to use for your website? Get to the mic, please.
Can you hear me? Okay, there we go. Actually, there were two things I wanted to mention. One, I didn't hear anybody ask about frequently asked question plugins. And there's a couple of really nice ones out there. I have one called FAQ Builder. It's real basic. It was real nice. And for the website that I'm working on now, it was so easy because before in their old website, there was a question and then you typed an answer and it had to be formatted. But with the WordPress theme and frequently an FAQ Builder, it just was a piece of cake. So I just want to mention that in case somebody needs that.
That's good. Thanks.
Yeah. The other thing that I'm still looking for, and I found one the other night, and I have it written down at home, but I didn't think to bring it. I'm trying to set up something not too expensive that we can set up classes for the school that students can register. The old website has a simple shopping cart and a PayPal plugin, but under the WordPress theme that we're trying to do, in some of the research, I found ones that can allow you to create an account for the student. They can register other people as well as themselves, like 2 people for the same class. It just seemed a lot easier. The problem I found was I think it was Event Espresso.
Right.
It's expensive. That's $300 a year or something.
Right.
And I found something that was like a one-time fee. So I don't know, has anybody done any websites?
So I use Event Espresso. I think it's $300 one time.
Oh, it is a one-time fee.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, it looked like it was annual. And well then but if it's a one-time fee, I can get that approved.
So. Yeah.
All right, I'll look into that a little bit better. Woo crap.
I do not endorse that.
Okay.
Rita?
Okay, we'll see.
Rita, go ahead. We've got 5 minutes to go for the voting ladies get here. Go ahead.
So a workaround for that is you can integrate a form with a plugin that will directly connect to Constant Contact or MailChimp or anything like that. So people can register for your event and the data will push right to your mail server, and you create a little folder for that particular event. Now you've got every registrant for that event sitting in that folder. You can see them, you can respond to them with the email, et cetera. So
And it's all.
well, you just Google WordPress MailChimp plugin or WordPress Constant Contact plugin. And it'll connect the form to your platform.
Rita, what do you want?
I am just so thankful I made the decision not to do this, but it was good to be here.
Pat, what else do you need?
Fine, thank you very much, everyone. Thanks, Tom.
Okay, Lynn, what do you need? I know what you need, but what do you want from plugins? Okay, Don, what do you want to add anything? Get close to the mic, please.
We didn't talk at all about backing up a website.
Oh, good point. Backup Buddy is my favorite. And what's it called? Draft something back. Backdraft. Updraft, right.
Yeah, there were no U's. I
Updraft.
thought they just lost.
Those are the two best, I think.
Yeah.
Backup Buddy and Updraft.
I like to use the backup feature built into cPanel. So if you have cPanel, which if you're using a good provider, you probably do, just enable the backup features into it.
Good point.
Good point. Okay, before we adjourn, because the voting ladies are going to be here, and they're really testy. I just want to show everybody that the new website has a plugin directory, and this includes all the plugins that we learned about at our last plugin roundtable, which was about a year ago. I think there's 51 of them, and I'm going to ask for a volunteer to add all these new ones. So let me show you what we have here, if I can get to it real quick.
So raise your hands or we'll volunteer hold you.
So the website that is it's visibly available to anybody, but it's under dev4.buckscountymarketing.org. That's what you're looking at here, and I'm logged in as an admin just because that's what I'm logged in as. In the member area, there, if you mouse over that, there's something called favorite plugins. If you click on that, you'll see right now we have 51 plugins in the directory, not counting the first couple that are just junk. And you can search by category. So let's see, what was somebody look for gallery, here we go. So searching for the word gallery, click search, and 2 of them show up from what we did last year. In this case, it's Foo Gallery and Meta Slider. And if you click on full details of entry, you can see even more details, including the link to get to the website for that. And you can add a review, you can add comments, and so on. If you want to add a new plugin entry, and whoever volunteers to do this, that's what you'll use. You click on this. This gets to your question, Corey. You can basically add the plugin name, the description, the website, any other comments, and then choose the category that that particular plugin is associated with. You can select as many of those as you want, and then that'll show up in the master list.
What plugin is this?
Oh, this was Gravity Forms and Gravity View.
Gotcha.
Okay, this is what I used to build all of this. I spent a lot of time building this. You can also search by any keyword. So here's backup. Somebody asked about backup before. So click on search. There's 3 of them. Advanced, I don't know why that's listed as backup, but Advanced Custom Fields, Backup Buddy, and Manage WP. So it's freely available to anybody who registers on the website. And I think this is a way to make it easy for you guys to find. We probably won't put in WooCrack, if you don't mind, but I think we'll put in so I need a volunteer to basically enter all the new ones. See me afterwards. Let's give Tom a round of applause. Thank you, Tom. And let's give Lynn an applause for live editing as we go here. Great job, Lynn.
I'll add more.
Thanks, everybody. Safe travels home.